The Galactic Council chamber erupted in laughter when Jack's assignment was announced. The human gets the Baron Princess. Ambassador Threxic wheezed, his three-lunged sacs trembling with amusement. How fitting for such a primitive species. Jack stood at attention, his jaw tight as the assembled delegates of 47 star systems howled at his misfortune. Princess Emma of Zarathus 7, the galaxy's most infamous royal failure. A woman who had spent 15 years attempting to terraform the dead world of Kepler 442b, only to watch every attempt end in catastrophic failure. The scientific community had written her off. The nobility whispered she was cursed. And now, humanity's first diplomatic envoy to the Galactic Council had been assigned as her technical advisor. It was an insult wrapped in protocol. Silence. The Archon's voice boomed across the chamber. The human will serve Princess Emma for 1 standard year. Perhaps his species' legendary stubbornness will prove educational. More laughter. Jack said nothing. 3 days later, he arrived at the orbital station above Kepler 442b. The planet below was a rust-colored nightmare, a world that had once harbored oceans and life, now reduced to toxic dust storms and radiation-scarred wastelands. 15 terraforming attempts had failed here. 15 crews had given up or died trying. Princess Emma met him in the observation deck, and Jack was surprised by what he saw. No pampered royal dripping with jewels, but a woman in worn work clothes, her auburn hair tied back in a practical braid, her green eyes shadowed by exhaustion and something harder, defiance. "You're the human," she said flatly. "They sent you to babysit me. They sent me to assist you, Your Highness. Don't call me that." She turned back to the viewport, staring at the dying world below. "Everyone who comes here treats this like a joke. A fool's errand for a foolish princess. Are you here to laugh at me too?" Jack stepped beside her, studying the planet with an engineer's eye. "I'm here because my species doesn't know how to quit. We've been counted out before. We're still here." For the first time, Emma looked at him with something other than bitter resignation. "Tell me about Earth." So he did. He told her about a world that had nearly destroyed itself a dozen times over. About ice ages and asteroid impacts. About pollution that choked the skies and wars that scorched continents. He told her about the Yellowstone supervolcano eruption of 2157 that should have ended human civilization, and how humanity had survived by sheer bloody-minded refusal to die. "We terraform the hard way," Jack said. "One mistake at a time. One failure teaching us how to try again." Emma's eyes gleamed. "The council species don't think that way. They calculate probabilities. They abandon projects that fall below acceptable success thresholds. 15 failures means stop trying. 15 failures means you've learned 15 ways that don't work," Jack countered. "Now show me your data." They worked for months. Jack brought human stubbornness. Emma brought brilliant, unconventional theories that the council's conservative scientists had dismissed. Together, they reviewed every failed attempt, finding patterns the previous teams had missed. The key was in the planet's core. The magnetic field had collapsed millennia ago, but Emma theorized it could be restarted using a technique considered impossibly dangerous, detonating fusion charges in precisely calculated locations across the mantle. The council scientists called it madness. One miscalculation would shatter the planet entirely. "It's never been attempted," Emma said, her voice trembling with either fear or excitement. "The risk assessment models show a 73% chance of catastrophic failure." Jack grinned. "Humans landed on the moon with computers less powerful than your datapad. Sometimes you have to take the risk." They spent 6 more months running simulations, refining the calculations down to the microsecond. Emma's mathematical genius combined with Jack's engineering pragmatism created something neither council science nor human ingenuity could have achieved alone. When they finally executed the plan, the galaxy watched .40 fusion charges detonated in perfect synchronization across Kepler 442b's mantle. The planet shuddered. Seismic sensors went wild. For 3 agonizing minutes, it seemed like they had failed catastrophically. Then the readings stabilized. The magnetic field flickered to life, weak at first, then growing stronger. The radiation storms that had scoured the surface for millennia began to dissipate. Deflected by the newly reborn planetary shield, it would take decades for the planet to fully heal, but the foundation was laid. Kepler 442b would live again. The Galactic Council chamber was silent when Emma and Jack returned. No laughter this time. Ambassador Threxic couldn't meet Jack's eyes. Princess Emma stood before the Archon, her posture straight, her voice clear and strong. The terraforming of Kepler 442b has entered Phase 2. Atmospheric processors are being deployed. The first colonists can arrive within 20 years. Impossible, one delegate whispered. Improbable, Emma corrected. But we did it anyway. The Archon studied them both. The princess who refused to give up and the human who didn't know how. How did you succeed where others failed? Jack and Emma exchanged a glance. She smiled, and he saw in her eyes the same fierce determination that had carried humanity through countless dark ages. We learned, Emma said, that sometimes the only difference between impossible and inevitable is refusing to accept failure. The Council voted that day to approve humanity's full membership. They also approved a new initiative, Joint Human-Zarathi Research Projects, led by Princess Emma with Jack as permanent co-director. As they left the chamber, Emma touched Jack's arm. Thank you for not laughing. Thank you for not quitting. I almost did. Many times. Jack nodded. So did my species. The trick is to almost quit, but not quite. Below them, Kepler 442b turned slowly in the darkness of space, its magnetic field glowing softly in the sensor displays. A dead world learning to breathe again, brought back to life by a mock princess and a stubborn human who refused to accept that 15 failures meant the end. It meant they were getting closer to success. And in a galaxy that calculated probabilities and abandoned difficult problems, that made all the difference.